Kandi Burruss has finally spoken publicly following her divorce filing from Todd Tucker, and her first statement is raising more questions than answers. Moments ago, Burruss appeared on a live stream where she quietly confirmed the filing and admitted she has been privately going through it for far longer than anyone realized. Her brief comments have now sent shockwaves across social media as fans revisit past interviews, podcast clips, and public appearances that may have hinted at deeper issues inside the marriage. In today's report, we examine the exact moments where Burruss's body language, tone, or choice of words seemed to indicate a breaking point long before the official announcement. Several past interviews, including one where she openly discussed her discomfort with sharing personal struggles, and another where she carefully avoided questions about her marriage, are now resurfacing with renewed scrutiny. With a decade-long marriage, 2 children, and years of joint public work, Burruss's decision marks a significant shift in her personal and professional life. This report outlines the timeline leading up to her statement, the fan-discovered moments that now appear revealing, and what her silence, until now, may truly indicate.
Okay, Sage. I'm going to be very honest with you. I am up and down. Obviously going through a divorce is definitely not the easiest thing. Sometimes, you're cool, you know what I mean? You're moving, you're mixing, you're moving, and you're hanging out with friends. But then sometimes you have your moments of sadness, and me being the Taurus that I am, I like to keep those moments to myself.
The public silence surrounding Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker's marriage finally broke this week, marking a significant turning point in a relationship that had stood for more than a decade under the scrutiny of fame, family dynamics, and public expectation. For years, the couple projected an image of stability, 2 successful figures navigating the realities of work, parenthood, and the unique pressures that accompany a high-visibility life. Yet, as confirmed filings indicate, the decision to divorce was not sudden, nor was it impulsive. Rather, as emerging statements and resurfaced past interviews reveal, the emotional cracks had been present far earlier than most observers realized. Kandi Burruss's first public acknowledgement came shortly after official documents confirmed she had filed for divorce from Todd Tucker on a recent Friday. The announcement, brief but telling, immediately triggered widespread reaction across social platforms, with thousands of viewers revisiting old moments, previous interviews, and subtle details that now seem far more revealing. In the current climate of digital deep dives, fans quickly began piecing together a timeline, one built from Kandi's own words, expressions, and emotional shifts that, in hindsight, appear unmistakably connected to a personal struggle unfolding behind the scenes. The initial reaction online centered around the abruptness of the filing, but that narrative shifted rapidly once viewers rewatched moments from Burruss's Amazon Live appearances and her past interviews promoting various projects. Small details, a sigh, a pause, and evasion, were no longer interpreted as simple fatigue or media exhaustion. Instead, they were reframed as signals of internal conflict, as signs of someone carrying an emotional burden too heavy for casual conversation. For a public figure who often balanced vulnerability with professionalism, these subtle cues have taken on new significance in the context of the divorce. In particular, the moment where Burruss addressed her audience directly, acknowledging she had been up and down and describing her emotional struggle, has now become one of the central pieces in understanding the broader emotional arc of her decision. That confession, though delivered quietly and without dramatic emphasis, appears to reveal a truth she may have been carrying privately for far longer than the public imagined. The language she used was restrained, but the weight behind it was unmistakable. Okay, Sage, I'm going to be very honest with you. I am up and down. Going through a divorce is definitely not the easiest thing. Me being the Taurus that I am, I like to keep those moments to myself. The significance of this clip, and why it must appear immediately after the hook, lies in what it communicates beyond the words themselves. It is the first moment where Burruss openly acknowledges emotional distress linked directly to the marriage, offering rare insight into her internal experiences. The tone of disclosure is measured, almost guarded, reflecting her lifelong tendency to compartmentalize personal matters, a trait she has discussed on multiple occasions. Yet in that moment, the restraint itself suggests the magnitude of what she had been enduring privately. For someone who has long portrayed strength through silence, the decision to speak, even minimally, demonstrates a pivotal shift. Observers familiar with Burruss's history in entertainment know that her public persona is not built on confession, but on composure. She has described herself as someone who processes pain internally rather than outwardly. The moment she chose to verbalize these emotions signaled that the situation had moved beyond private reflection and into a chapter where acknowledgement was necessary. Following this acknowledgement, the broader context of the relationship emerges more clearly. Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker have been prominent figures both individually and collectively, their marriage blending two distinct professional worlds within the entertainment industry. Over 11 years of marriage and 14 total years together, they navigated parenthood, business ventures, reality television exposure, and constant public examination. Such dynamics create environments where small tensions often amplify over time, especially when nurtured in silence. Fans have been quick to revisit earlier moments, laughs that looked strained, moments where questions about marriage drew carefully neutral responses, and the removal of Todd's last name from Burruss's social media profiles. None of these details alone were conclusive, but collectively, they present a picture of someone preparing emotionally for the next phase long before the paperwork was filed. One of the most heavily circulated resurfaced clips centers on Burruss, explaining that she never grew up imagining herself as a wife. When she originally said it, viewers interpreted it as casual honesty, an offhand reflection on her independent nature. Now, in the context of the divorce, that statement is being re-examined as a deeper commentary on her long-term emotional struggles with balancing identity, expectations, and partnership. Though not a declaration of marital dissatisfaction, the clip reflects how personal history shapes one's relationship expectations. Another aspect of the public conversation involves the long-standing dynamic between Kandi and her mother, Mama Joyce, whose skepticism of the marriage was widely documented. Over the years, her commentary, sometimes humorous, other times blunt, became part of the couple's public narrative. With the divorce now confirmed, viewers have begun revisiting past moments involving Mama Joyce, interpreting her remarks through a new lens. Burruss herself, however, discouraged involving her mother in the current discourse, emphasizing a desire for calm rather than further escalation. Beyond interpersonal dynamics, one of the more significant elements in understanding the emotional weight of Burruss's statement is her role as a public figure accustomed to maintaining composure. Reality television often rewards openness, but Burruss's career predates the era where personal transparency became an industry norm. For her, the idea of exposing private pain to millions runs contrary to her artistic and professional identity. This is why her brief, quiet admission carries even more weight. It is uncharacteristic, and therefore meaningful. Another factor that amplifies the gravity of this moment is the couple's role as parents. Burruss noted the importance of co-parenting, and observers have highlighted that the emotional impact of shared custody realities can be profound, especially for parents who have built their routines around togetherness. Her expressions of sadness and instability, though general, resonate deeply when viewed through the lens of impending changes in family structure. The absence of sensationalism in Burruss's delivery also contrasts sharply with media speculation surrounding the divorce. Rumors about infidelity, open relationship dynamics, or external pressures remain unconfirmed, and Burruss herself avoided engaging with them. This silence, paired with her statement that the decision had been brewing for a while, indicates a far more nuanced emotional landscape than public speculation suggests. As the story unfolds, Burruss's initial acknowledgement remains the anchor of understanding, a succinct yet powerful window into her state of mind at the time of the decision. What comes next, whether through official statements, interviews, or further public appearances, will likely shape the narrative. But this early insight offers a foundational understanding of the emotional depth behind the news.
Yes, I filed Friday, but, this is something that, has been brewing for a while. So all the times you've been seeing me online like, all of that means nothing. I've been going through it, y'all. I've been going through it. Life has been lifing me. I'm going to be very honest with you. I am up and down.
The moment Kandi Burruss openly admitted that she had filed for divorce, everything surrounding her marriage with Todd Tucker began to sound different. What was once seen as a glamorous, unconventional, boundary-pushing couple suddenly shifted into the center of a storm of questions, theories, and resurfaced clips. And while Kandi's statement confirmed the legal reality, it was her tone, shaken yet controlled, that revealed something far deeper in this unfolding story. It wasn't simply a marriage ending, it was a woman finally acknowledging a weight she had been carrying long before the public ever suspected anything. As the internet began to dissect every moment of their relationship, fans pointed back to years of warning signs that were dismissed at the time. Interviews where Todd appeared frustrated or detached, scenes where Kandi looked emotionally exhausted, and even playful jokes that now felt like foreshadowing. Suddenly, every old clip felt like a puzzle piece. Some viewers argued that the couple had always seemed mismatched in priorities. Others insisted that outside influence played a bigger role than they wanted to admit. And then there were those who believed that the tension had been quietly building behind the scenes long before the cameras ever caught wind of it. In the days following her announcement, the resurfacing of those clips sparked conversations about how much pressure Kandi had been under. For more than a decade, she balanced music, acting, reality television, business ownership, motherhood, and friendships, each of those demanding roles pulling her in a different direction. And while she thrived professionally, many viewers began to wonder whether her personal life had been quietly deteriorating behind the scenes. When she spoke on Amazon Live, her voice cracked slightly, revealing a vulnerability fans rarely witnessed. She has always been the strong one, the stable one, the workhorse of the Real Housewives franchise. But in that moment, her strength looked different. It wasn't loud, it wasn't defensive. It was the quiet, tired strength of someone who had tried everything she could until she couldn't anymore. The reaction online wasn't just shock, it was concern. Fans weren't only talking about the marriage, they were talking about the pressure of being Kandi Burruss, a woman known for her hustle, her composure, her ability to stay above drama. And the phrase she repeated, "I've been going through it," hit differently. It wasn't just a divorce. It was emotional exhaustion. It was a breaking point she had reached long before she signed any papers. And those who had followed her career began to realize that the public only saw fragments of the truth. Meanwhile, speculation about Todd's behavior intensified. Not because Kandi confirmed anything, she didn't. She stayed silent on infidelity rumors, silent on cheating allegations, silent on claims of outsiders influencing their marriage. But silence often speaks louder than denial. Fans pulled up old interviews where Todd seemed defensive when discussing prenups and finances. Others recalled moments where he mentioned feeling overshadowed by Kandi's success. The power dynamic between them, once marketed as playful banter, suddenly looked like an unresolved issue that kept resurfacing every few years. And then there was the question of lifestyle. For years, viewers had watched the couple openly discuss their adventurous private life, something they treated as normal and healthy. But now, those past revelations were being dissected through a different lens. The internet began debating whether opening the door to external intimacy complicates a marriage that already has stressors. People questioned the long-term emotional cost, suggesting that what starts as excitement can quickly morph into resentment, insecurity, or comparison. These weren't new conversations, but in light of the divorce, they took on a heightened sense of relevance. Still, despite the noise, something notable happened. Many people expressed genuine sympathy for Kandi. Even those who criticized her choices admitted that hearing her say the situation had been brewing for a while made it clear she hadn't rushed into anything. A woman who had maintained a stable, long-lasting relationship in an industry known for short-lived marriages deserved the benefit of the doubt. 11 years of marriage, 14 years together, 2 children, a home, a blended family. These were not decisions anyone takes lightly. And when she said she had no regrets, it wasn't denial. It was maturity. It was acceptance that a relationship can be meaningful even if it doesn't last forever. Though she avoided addressing rumors about Todd directly, her emotional transparency revealed a different truth. She had spent a long time trying to hold things together. And while the public has only just learned about the divorce, Kandi made it clear that she had been emotionally navigating this reality long before the announcement. That admission alone reframed the entire timeline. What viewers had assumed were normal public appearances, smiling at events, promoting projects, attending birthday parties, were moments of distraction from a deeply private pain. Another layer complicating the narrative is the role of her mother, Mama Joyce. For years, Mama Joyce openly disapproved of Todd, creating tension that played out both on and off screen. Some viewers now claim she was vindicated. Others believe her hostility may have made the marriage harder. Regardless, Kandi shut down suggestions that her mother should speak on it, revealing an unexpected protectiveness toward Todd, even in the midst of separation. It was a powerful reminder that divorce doesn't erase respect, history, or the need to co-parent peacefully. As Kandi continues to navigate this chapter, her focus remains on stability, especially for her children. But beneath that effort lies a woman who is quietly grieving not just the loss of a marriage, but the loss of a future she once imagined. The most striking part of her interview wasn't her admission of filing, nor her comments about online narratives. It was the tired honesty in her voice, the emotional fatigue of someone who has been strong for too long. The truth that even successful, powerful women can break down under the weight of personal pain. The public may continue speculating. They may debate motives, pick apart timelines, and dig up old footage. But the reality is that the only two people who truly understand what happened are Kandi and Todd. And while the world is eager for answers, Kandi has made it clear that she will speak when, and only when, she is ready. For now, what she has shared is enough to understand that this wasn't a story of sudden betrayal or impulsive decisions. It was a slow unraveling, a gradual separation, a quiet heartbreak that finally reached the point where silence was no longer an option. And as her journey continues to unfold, one thing remains certain. The strong public persona she maintained for years has finally cracked just enough for people to see the truth behind it. She is human, she is hurting, and she is going through it in real time, whether she chooses to share more or not. In the days following Kandi Burruss's emotional revelation, the public conversation around her divorce took on a life of its own, transforming from speculation into a cultural moment. Fans, critics, and longtime viewers found themselves analyzing not just a marriage, but the anatomy of a breakup lived partly in private and partly on screen. What makes this situation so striking is how long the tension appears to have existed beneath the surface, hidden behind smiles, business deals, red carpet appearances, and carefully curated social media posts. When she finally admitted she had filed and that it had been brewing for a while, the statement didn't feel like a shock. It felt like confirmation of what had been unfolding silently for months, maybe even years. As the internet dissected Kandi's words, footage from past seasons resurfaced and was examined with new intensity. Screenshots of podcast clips were shared like evidence in a trial. Fans began to revisit episodes where Todd appeared short-tempered or distant, and moments where Kandi seemed tired or emotionally overwhelmed. Some viewers pointed out that Kandi often found herself defending Todd, whether it was about finances, work ethic, or his strained relationship with her mother. Over time, those defenses appeared to take a toll. What once looked like a protective wife standing by her man now appeared, in hindsight, like a woman trying to maintain peace in a home built on shaky compromises. People also began questioning the role of ambition in their marriage. Kandi has always been one of the most successful figures to emerge from Real Housewives of Atlanta. She didn't just join the franchise, she elevated it with her entrepreneurial efforts, spin-offs, acting roles, songwriting legacy, and multiple businesses. Her empire continued to expand, and with it came more pressure. For some couples, success becomes a shared victory. For others, it becomes a silent comparison, especially when one partner consistently outpaces the other. Online discussions highlighted interviews where Todd mentioned wanting to do more creatively, yet viewers felt he often seemed to be fighting to define his identity outside of Kandi's shadow. Whether that tension ever turned into resentment behind closed doors, only the two of them truly know. But the imbalance in public visibility was always noticeable. Simultaneously, the question of emotional connection surfaced as one of the biggest talking points. Fans revisited scenes where Kandi struggled to balance her professional responsibilities with the demands of being a spouse and mother. She admitted openly many times that her schedule was overwhelming and that fatigue repeatedly showed on camera. There were moments where her exhaustion overshadowed the intimacy between her and Todd. This created a narrative that maybe the emotional investment wasn't equal, either because she was spread too thin or because Todd expected more than she could give. Yet, despite all of that, Kandi remained committed. She chose her marriage repeatedly, even when it meant facing criticism online and within her own family. And then, there was the matter of trust. For years, rumors about Todd's behavior circulated quietly in fan communities. Stories of him being spotted at clubs, speculations about him being too comfortable in environments known for temptation, and whispers of interactions that didn't align with the public image of a married man, all resurfaced with new intensity once the divorce news broke. Though nothing was confirmed, the internet tends to believe patterns more than isolated moments, and those patterns led many to conclude that the marriage had cracks long before Kandi mentioned filing papers. Even Kandi's own emotional pacing suggested she had internalized the deterioration slowly. Her confession about being up and down, about feeling sadness she kept to herself, revealed the pressure she had been under. It showed a woman who had learned to maintain composure even while unraveling internally. Fans connected deeply to her vulnerability, acknowledging how often women feel obligated to appear strong, even when they are struggling behind the scenes. It wasn't just Kandi's words that resonated, it was the fatigue behind them. The quiet hurt, the years of effort. Outside of the immediate family dynamics, the public also examined the role of community pressure. Being a reality TV figure means every personal decision becomes a collective spectacle. A marriage isn't just between two people. It becomes a storyline, a brand, an expectation. Kandi and Todd's marriage existed in that ecosystem for more than a decade, and every argument, every disagreement, and every vulnerable moment was magnified by producers, edited for drama, and judged by millions. That type of scrutiny often creates stress that doesn't exist in normal relationships. Even the strongest bonds struggle under that weight. And fans now wonder whether the couple might have lasted longer without the constant presence of cameras, opinions, and public expectations. As the news settled and discussions broadened, many began comparing this divorce to other public splits that spiraled into chaos. But in Kandi's case, people noticed something different. There was a deliberate calmness. She wasn't dragging Todd. She wasn't exposing details. She wasn't naming faults or confirming rumors. Instead, she emphasized respect, even in her pain. She talked about co-parenting. She talked about wanting peace. She acknowledged the history they shared and refused to rewrite it negatively. That restraint spoke volumes about who she is and how she handles conflict. It also laid the foundation for what she hopes will be a stable environment for her children. Another notable aspect is the absence of bitterness. While fans on social media were quick to blame Todd or Mama Joyce or fame or their lifestyle choices, Kandi herself refused to assign guilt. She said they had two beautiful children and no regrets, and those words are not typically spoken by someone consumed with anger. Instead, they come from acceptance, a recognition that not all relationships are meant to last, even when built with love and good intentions. Many viewers found comfort in that emotional maturity, seeing it as a reminder that endings don't always need villains. Still, there remains a lingering curiosity about whether Kandi will eventually tell her full story. She has built a platform with "Speak on It," and it would be almost impossible for this chapter of her life to remain untouched. The world expects answers. Fans anticipate a moment where she will sit in front of a camera, take a breath, and explain what really happened, when the shift began, what conversations were had, what lines were crossed or ignored. Yet for now, she is choosing silence. And that silence, though frustrating to some, is necessary. Healing rarely happens in public. It requires space, privacy, and time. As her journey continues, the narrative is still being written. The public will watch closely, some with empathy, some with judgment. Others simply fascinated by the unfolding story of a woman they feel they've come to know over the years. But regardless of what comes next, Kandi Burruss has already made one thing clear. The end of her marriage does not define her. It is a chapter, not the conclusion. A turning point, not a downfall. And while she may be going through it, she is also moving through it. One honest confession, one quiet moment, and one difficult day at a time. In moments like these, when a public figure finally reveals the private burdens they have carried behind closed doors, it becomes essential for viewers to approach the story with clarity, empathy, and responsibility. The unfolding truth of Kandi Burruss's divorce is not just a headline. It is a reminder of how easily the weight of silent struggle can go unnoticed until the breaking point arrives. As this story continues to develop, our commitment is to follow it with accuracy, context, and respect for the individuals involved. If you value reporting that goes beyond surface-level speculation, reporting that examines the emotional, cultural, and personal layers behind these public events, make sure you remain connected. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next phase of this developing narrative. Activate notifications so you receive updates the moment verified information becomes available. Your engagement allows this platform to maintain a standard of journalism that prioritizes truth over noise, perspective over sensationalism. As always, we will continue to observe this story with the seriousness it deserves, and we invite you to stay with us as we monitor new statements, emerging details, and any further developments in the days ahead.